Hey everyone, welcome to the show. It is a great day today. I have so much good news to share with you guys. Trump made a fool out of himself on his failing social media site. The social media stock is tanking hard, like worse than we've seen in so long. Poll numbers are moving away from him. His minions are just so desperate. They are coming up with ridiculous arguments about Kamala Harris. So I'll get to all of this. So, first off, Trump is so stupid. How stupid is he? Thanks for asking. He is so stupid. He believed that this, what you see here on your screen right now, was real. So, for everyone listening to the podcast, what I'm showing the audience is a compilation of fake photos. There's also memes, and there's a fake article claiming that Taylor Swift and her fans are all supporting Donald Trump for president. So, the first one in the upper left corner says satire. It says it in a bright red box, and he still fell for it. And the headline reads, quote, "Swifties turning to Trump after ISIS foiled Taylor Swift concert." So, for anyone who doesn't know, Taylor Swift had to cancel one of her concerts because it came out that there was going to be an attack. This was real, that there was actually going to be a terrorist attack at the concert. So, got canceled, but this headline is fake and the whole thing is fake. An obvious joke. He fell for it. Again, he shared this on his failing social media site, Truth Social. He posted it and then he wrote, quote, "I accept." He is seriously dumber than dirt. He really is. And he's just as thirsty. He is desperate to have the endorsement of an A-list celebrity because all he has is has-beens. He has all these has-beens who hold on to him for relevancy. Speaking of Trump's failing social media site, you got to check this out. Oh my God, this is so good. So, DJT stock dipped below its 1-year low today. The 52-week low had been $22.26. As of about 3:45 Eastern Time today, it was trading at only $22.18. I was tracking this all morning and I had to keep taking new screenshots because it kept going lower and lower. And then, as I always mention, a ton of Trump supporters purchased at the peak. So right after it went public, at one point, it was up to nearly $80 a share. So those people have lost nearly 3/4 of their money. And then a bunch of other people purchased the stock right after Trump was shot. That was when it was trading around $35 to $40 a share. So they've lost money. It has been on a steady decline ever since he was shot. And Forbes mentioned there's really no incentive now for minority shareholders to retain their stock after the lockup period ends next month. They were saying, evidently, Trump gave a bunch of people stock in the company in lieu of payment for services or payment for loans. And so those people, they're probably going to dump it in the coming weeks. Makes sense, right? I mean, they're watching the value. They see it's been plummeting and how Trump's chances of retaking the White House are completely slipping away. And as I've mentioned before, there's no value to Truth Social without Trump. If he doesn't win the election, he's likely going to prison. So what value is there? He's not going to be on Truth Social. These people know it's in their best interest to sell this stock sooner rather than later. So I would not be surprised at all if we see a massive sell-off next month, because that is when the 6-month lockup period expires. So Trump and everybody else who's been locked in for 6 months, they can now sell. If that happens, we are going to see a massive plummet in the stock price. And here's why investors might be a little freaked out. Kamala Harris now has a 4% lead over Trump in a Washington Post ABC Ipsos national poll. And that lead holds whether there's a third party candidate included or not. In a head-to-head race, Harris is at 49%, Trump is at 45. That is a 7-point swing from when Biden was in the race in early July. According to this poll, a lot of that shift is coming from voters under 40 and also independents. So it showed that Harris is leading 25% with voters under 40, and she has an 8% advantage with independent voters. So again, that's a big swing because Trump had a 2% advantage over Biden with independents. In regard to swing state polls, which is really the bigger issue for Trump, Emerson College has Trump up by 1% in Pennsylvania. So within the margin of error. And then check this out. When Emerson polled new voters, meaning people who didn't vote in 2020, which I've told you guys, I think a lot of these polls, they're missing these people. When they specifically polled people who had not voted in 2020, Harris had a massive lead. She scored 61% with new voters. Trump came in at only 36%. That is huge. And again, the reason these people aren't being picked up in the polls is because they typically poll likely voters. So that means people who voted last time, people who voted in 2020 for the last presidential election, people who voted in the midterms. So Harris has also turned things around in other swing states. There was a New York Times Siena poll. It shows Harris leading or essentially tied with Trump in Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and North Carolina. So Harris has a 5% lead in Arizona. It's a huge shift, 50 to 45. She's up by 2% in North Carolina. The poll does still have Trump up by 4 in Georgia, but Harris reduced his lead in Nevada. So in Nevada, he is only leading by 1%, which again, well within the margin of error. And also, again, not picking up new voters, people who didn't vote previously. Trump was beating Biden by 9 in Nevada. So that last poll in Nevada was conducted in May with Trump against Biden. So that, again, huge shift in momentum. And Republicans may be showing confidence in public, but they're definitely freaked out behind closed doors. It's been reported that in a private call last week, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, he warned Republican Congress members that the, quote, numbers are now I'm talking like Trump, anonymous. No, it's ominous, not anonymous. He told them the numbers are ominous. So meaning their internal polling is showing that Republicans in the House are going to take a beating unless things change. And he has good reason to be concerned because since Biden dropped out of the race, Democratic congressional candidates have seen a huge turnaround, not just in polling, but also with donors. So there's a Southern California candidate named Derek Tran. He spoke with Politico and he said, quote, "It's been like a 180 from what it was before. The types of conversations I was having with donors and constituents out there was just, we're done. We don't want to be a part of this. This is stupid." So he means when Biden was the nominee. As opposed to when we saw the change at the top of the ticket, it was electrifying. Those were his words. So as you'd expect, Republicans, they've decided they're going to try harder. They're going to try harder to win over voters. They are reconsidering their extremism. I'm just kidding. You guys know these people are freaks. They are doubling down on their dirty tricks. They are using desperate talking points. So last week, I mentioned that the Republican-controlled House Oversight Committee, they had opened an investigation into Kamala Harris. They're like, oh, the Biden investigation went so well. Let's investigate Kamala Harris. So they're investigating her for her work at the southern border. That's their line. The Republicans, though, are now so terrified of Harris' momentum that they have now announced an investigation into Minnesota Governor and VP nominee Tim Walz. They talk endlessly about Democrats weaponizing the government. This is blatant election interference right here. They're ridiculous. You can smell their desperation. Hashtag sad in all caps. That's what this is. Their arguments against Harris also are getting pathetic. It's just insane. Like, you have to see this to believe it. I'm not even going to set this up. Just going to let you guys watch it first, and then we'll talk about it. Check this out.
You just talked about Kamala Harris supposedly eating a bag of Doritos, so emotionally charged after hearing this. That's the commander-in-chief, potentially. That's the emotional response of the leader of the free world, is to binge eat a bag of Doritos? Are you kidding me? Can you imagine Putin, how he deals with things, chugging down a bag of Sour Patch Kids because he's depressed about something not going his way? Or back in the day, Soleimani, what is he, binging on Funyuns? I doubt it. I doubt that's the actual response of an elite leader, whether you agree with what they're leading or not.
So for those who don't know, that was conservative commentator Elizabeth Hasselbeck. She made those comments on Sean Hannity's show on Fear News Network. And this was in response to a story that came out, or something that Harris had said about how on the night that Donald Trump was elected, she ate an entire bag of Doritos. She was so upset. You know, I wonder why this woman couldn't make it as a co-host on The View. Right? What insight. What a deep thinker. Deep Thoticus, I'm going to call her. I mean, the old Dorito defense, that will surely end Kamala Harris and her candidacy. Like I said, these people reek of desperation. And I wonder, what does Hasselbeck think of Donald Trump chucking bottles of ketchup against the wall? Right? He had a tantrum. It's reported that he threw ketchup against the wall because he was so upset. Is that the response of a quote-unquote elite leader? Huh, Hasselbeck? What do you say about that? Can you imagine how this fool would be melting down on Fox if Harris reportedly threw a bottle of ketchup at a wall because Trump won, or anything that upset her? Seriously? And let me remind Hasselbeck who Trump is, because she seems to have conveniently forgotten. This is a man who stole the most highly classified documents in our country. He put our intelligence officials, our intelligence workers, and informants in danger. Seriously, he attempted a coup. He incited an insurrection at our nation's capital, a violent, weapon-filled insurrection that left 140 officers injured to the point that some of them can't even work anymore. Some of them permanently, lifelong injuries. He's been convicted of 34 felonies. He was found liable of sexually assaulting a woman. He is accused of assaulting nearly 24 others, including a woman who claims that he raped her at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion when she was only 13 years old. That's who Hasselbeck is supporting. That's who she's defending. He lies as often as he breathes. He cheated on all 3 of his wives, the most recent with a Playboy model and a porn star. He's cheated and stiffed about every contractor who's ever worked for him. He is a virulent racist. He may have taken a $10 million bribe from the Egyptian government. That just came out. You know, he and his kids used our government to make billions of dollars for them personally. He is supposedly a billionaire, but he's out there hawking NFTs, gold shoes, you know, pieces of his suit. I mean, but sure, let's talk about a bag of Doritos. Let's talk about Kamala Harris eating a bag of Doritos almost 10 years ago. These people are just complete and total clowns. And Hasselbeck, she is a hypocritical clown, quote unquote, Christian. This is a woman who's always thumping her Bible, but yet she is totally cool with the liar, cheater, thieving sexual predator. Yeah, I wonder why people are turning against religion. I wonder why people like me are disgusted by, the way churches operate and how everybody in them is suspect nowadays and typically MAGA. So, yeah, there's some good people out there. There's some good Christians. Some of my best friends are real Christians. They actually do believe in the Bible. They actually do believe in what they preach. And they actually walk the walk. They don't just talk the talk. And guess what? They're all disgusted by Donald Trump and would never in a million years vote for him. So Hasselbeck, not a real Christian. All right. I will let you know when I hear more. But yeah, everything's tanking for Trump. And I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. All right. I'll let you guys know when I hear more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe to the channel. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.